Well, congratulations, Jenny and Jackie and Anthony, all tremendous honors and well-deserved. It's an honor to be a member of this organization, and it's always, I think it's a thrill to come to these dinners. Everybody talks about them being long and boring, but I think they're important. I think the recognition that we just did and that we're going to continue to do tonight is extremely important. In fact, I tried to create a new award this year for an outstanding secretary. Ours is going to retire after 41 years this year of dedicated service to our firm, and we will recognize her in the paper. We're going to have a retirement gathering for her, but she went through many name changes in our law firm in 41 years. But anyway, I'm here to honor Pat Fox, my partner, who I have to say that 11 years ago, I didn't know Pat, but I knew his father because we knew each other in high school. We ran against each other for Key Club governor. And anyway, I learned about Pat, and he had been with a defense firm and doing outstanding work. At the time, I was suffering from PTID, post-traumatic internet disorder. And that's because my wife had met a guy on the chat room on the internet, and I didn't want to do my briefing on the internet. And that was the time when we were moving from the books to the internet. And so I was hiring it done over here at the law school. And then Pat came along and saved me for a few years. And now we have Keith. Not that I don't like to brief, but anyway, I just had that disorder. But Pat has an interesting, he's an interesting guy. And those of you on the Trial Lawyers Board know some things about him. I learn something new about him every day, it seems like. Pat, I don't know if you know, he played football for the North Carolina. Julius Peppers would be on the other side of him when he was doing drills. And but before that, he actually high jumped nearly 6 feet as a freshman. Now stand up, Pat. Look at the bulk of this guy. Can you imagine that? But where he's really, Pat shines as a trial lawyer. He's a member of the Trial Lawyer Board, and he's a tremendous legal writer, a tremendous presenter in court. And I've had the joy of preparing and trying cases with Pat, as well as having Pat handle this appeal. We're honoring Pat today for the Malay-Kush appellate work that he did. And why this case is important, as those of you who are familiar with it know, is that it opens the door for people to obtain attorney fees for claims when underinsured motorist coverage is obtained beyond the amount that was offered. And in the case of Malay-Kush, I tried the case, and Paul Halfman and Farmers had offered $120,000 of a $200,000 policy, and we got a $450,000 verdict for Tanya. And one of the reason was Tanya, and I wish she was here actually, we probably should have had her come. She's an incredible person and made a wonderful plaintiff because we did talk about her past. We talked about her A-list. Her A-list was, she had a very serious back surgery that she had recovered from, and her star witness was her broker boss, who did not even know that this woman had back surgery, was under pain management, and for years she'd been working with him, and this accident caused her shoulder-arm problems that she had to have surgery for. At any rate, the case went up on appeal twice, and Pat handled both appeals. He handled the first appeal, which was decided by Judge Shea, remanded back to the lower court, and then it went back up, and Judge Wheat, wonderful decision. Thank you, Judge Wheat. And Mike actually came up to me last year at this banquet, and he hadn't told me about the decision, but he said, that was a good idea for you to have Pat argue that case and present it. And I said, that was the smartest thing I'd ever done, Mike. But anyway, it was argued in Bonk last year about this time to the 7 members of the Supreme Court. Many questions asked. I'll let Pat maybe enlighten you with some of those questions. It was kind of entertaining. He fielded them well. And I do want to thank Justin Stolpus as well, because Justin was amicus on this with the Beck Law Firm. Justin, thank you, and I want to give him a round of applause for that. And actually, John Lacey and the trial lawyer amicus helped on the first appellate case. It wasn't argued, but we are still actually dealing with this case, and Pat has prepared. I actually was a witness in the hearing, and Paul got to ask me questions. And those of you who have tried cases, and I've tried a few against Paul Hapman, he wins a lot of cases, and he's a very good defense trial lawyer, and I think he's one of those gentlemen of the defense bar, frankly. And he was surprised by it, but we were really pleased that we were able to prevail, and it was much due to the talent and persistence of Pat. And Pat did a wonderful job writing and arguing the case. And I'm going to leave it there. I see my time is that I'm getting flagged. And Pat, congratulations. Way to go.
Well, thank you very much, Rick. I want to thank my wife because we got married when we were 22, and I immediately went to law school here, and she put me through law school. She worked while I was a student, and we've been married a long time now. She's awesome, patient, kind, something out of 1 Corinthians. But in any event, thanks to Rick. If he hadn't tried the case and got a fantastic verdict, there would have been nothing to appeal. And I think that's the hardest part. You can sit in I don't really have an ivory tower, but you can sit in your office in front of a computer and dig in as much as you want and share ideas with your colleagues in the trial bar. But when you're standing in front of a jury, it's in real time. And so without that verdict, we wouldn't have clarified this issue. I want to thank my partner, John Dubeck. John and Rick together are almost like surrogate fathers, to me. I mean, they are of my parents' age. And in fact, my dad calls them and says, is he getting enough calories? And they're, oh yeah, he's getting plenty of calories. And I want to thank my other partner, Keith Starrar, who's been with us for about 3 years, and he's a fantastic lawyer, and he's going to be, and is going to be awesome in trial and on appeal and litigation. I think that Rick said persistence. If I could say one thing, just fight every fight when you're right. If you have the law, fight it. If they want to send your client to Leonard Wilson, maybe he's here, hopefully he can hear me, or some of these doctors that make $500,000-$600,000 a year screwing people, fight them every time. And if all of us fought them, the judges would get educated, and those guys would go out of business, or that industry would have to change, and they'd have to hire real, intellectually honest doctors that come in and say, yeah, your client's really hurt. And then we wouldn't have to deal with this crap at trial. Fight those fights. When the defense lawyers, and Paul, great lawyer, and he is a gentleman, and he's gotten a lot of good verdicts, injured people that deserved a lot more money than they got. And one of my clients is a victim, and I hope that never happens again. But what they do is they hire WellCare IME LLC, and they make these connections with alleged pre-existing conditions. That reference to endometriosis in 2006. I mean, clearly that's related to your cervical spine. And then when the treating physicians come on in our case in chief, they say to the treating physician, did the plaintiff ever tell you that she had endometriosis in 2006? You got an orthopedist or a chiropractor? No. The whole point is to make the plaintiff look like a liar. And if our plaintiff looks like a liar, we'll lose every time. And the way to deal with that is put the defendant on trial. They were the negligent one. Even if they admit liability. Admitting liability means duty, breach, and causation. It means pay us money. They're not admitting anything. Put them on trial. Put everything they did wrong on trial. That's what's going to motivate the verdicts. And to do that, we have to fight. We have to file those motions, get those witnesses. That's what we have to do. So persistence is key, and this Malekush case is kind of an example of that. Anyway, I meant to be, that's my soapbox. If we all fight these fights, we're going to start winning, and we're going to win big, and our clients are going to win, and that's what it's all about. Thanks.